picture with this beautiful girl, the new pretty girl on the block, you know. And then she asked me to take a picture. I tell her I almost committed murder with the camera, cut off the guy's head. I should just remove his head from this. But I took the picture. But also, not to me, there were some other guys there too who really kind of liked her. And there was one who she plays or played. She came as a music missionary playing the organ and the piano and she wanted to play the guitar, and somebody else was somebody down there was teaching her to play the guitar, and I just kind of got a little peeved in the spirit, you know. But the real check for me was, do I love her enough to release her to somebody else in the event that she feels that her life will be happier with that person? I want to run that by you again. That was really the test for me. When I knew that I loved her was when I was willing to release her if her happiness was going to be greater with somebody else than with me. And I really released her, and I knew that I loved her at that stage. And not for my own selfishness, but for her own happiness.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's a gem. We make sure to get that one. All right, and so you decided to marry, right? And when you first married each other, what was the most endearing quality you found in each other? So you can go first, Mrs. Thomas. What were you drawn to most about him?
You know, to be very honest with you, Donovan is just a fabulous man. He's just a solid, nice guy. So there were just so many attributes about him. Very kind, you know, he goes extra mile, very loving, honest. Donovan is honest. That is one thing that really appealed to me, especially in the early years. And throughout our marriage, his honesty. Donovan was not one to do things and hide. You know, there were situations when he just spoke to me and told me what was happening. One of the things that we did in premarital counseling was that if there was somebody who was interested in you or that you felt interested in or whatever not, that you would talk about it to your spouse. And there were in our marriage, there have been times when other persons have passed on the horizon and Donovan would talk about it, put it on the table so that we would be able to talk about it and sort it out so that it don't go any further. And I can't tell anybody to do that, right? Because I know some people do those things and them relationship mash up.
Right. But the first time that happened, how did you respond? What was that like for you?
Well, I mean, that was uncomfortable. Talking about, you know, stuff like that was uncomfortable. But what it did was help us to look at our marriage critically and to work through whatever kinks needed to be worked through. I remember when Donovan was overseas at one time, and there was this young man who came by and was a nice guy, you know, and I felt attracted. And I put it on the table. I said to Donovan, you know, I felt attracted to this guy. And we just put it on the table. We talked about it. So that is one of the things that I have found very important in our marriage, that we're able to talk about these things so that they don't go any further.
Right. Tell the truth and shame the devil. No truth.
Right.
So we basically decided that we're not going to keep any secrets.
Right.
And we acknowledge that there are going to be other girls that will cross my path who I would take a second look at. But we have to deal with it and actually bring it to the fore and just make sure that we don't cover up, but be open and honest. And praise God, we have not gone off on a tangent and had any affairs in our 31 years of marriage or anything like that. But we have had to be very deliberate about it because the enemy has a plan to destroy marriages. Just a little tangent here. The late Dave Ho, who was one of the elders of Swallowfeet Chapel and one of the leaders in missions in the Caribbean and America, and in the world really, was on his way from a Christian conference, and he sat beside a man who was coming from another conference. They got into talking and talking and talking. And when they told the man what conference he was coming from, the man said he was coming from a conference of Satanists. And one of the top things on their agenda was praying for the destruction of marriages. So those things are deliberate and strategic, and we have got to recognize that the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy, but even that. But the question is, do I still admire her?
What was the quality in her that you loved the most?
Her love for the Lord, her spirituality, and her balance between charm and spirituality. I said that earlier. You know, really, that really just stood out at me, with me. She was a woman of God from the outset. She was a woman of excellence.